Hey, John here with the Superior Conversions and Outdoors YouTube channel. And in this video, we're making the trek to Grand Portage National Monument in Grand Portage, Minnesota. Okay, well, not technically in this video. So if you've been on my channel, you've seen that I took a road trip from Duluth all the way up to the Canadian border. And in part 2 of that one, I stopped in Grand Portage National Monument. Now, honestly, I wasn't really sure what to expect, and I had only allotted 15-20 minutes to stop in there, kind of check it out. I really thought it was going to be maybe just a single building with some information, kind of a plaque, almost like an interpretive center where you just self-guided tours. But when I got there, it became extremely evident that this was going to be much more than a 15-20 minute stop. I ended up spending over an hour walking around the park. So it is serviced by the National Park Service. And because of that, they actually have full-time staff and volunteers that were there. So there's so much to do and see. There's a museum, there's the depot, there's staff members dressed up, what it's like. There's a 20-minute video. There was a moose display. There's just a lot of stuff to do there. And I wasn't even able to do all of it, but I made a pretty good dent. And so I wanted to put this video together where I bring all that footage together, put it in here, and make a separate video just dedicated to the Grand Portage National Monument. I had a blast in there. I learned so much about the fur trading industry. And to be honest, I was somewhat familiar with the Hudson Bay Company, but the Northwest Trading Company, I really didn't know a lot about. And I learned so much from the staff members from there. And I want to take all that information and I want to give it to you. And I want to show you why this is a must stop if you were ever in northern Minnesota. All right, here you go. I hope you enjoy it. Quick disclaimer before we get into the video. I want to apologize right now. My video skills in this particular video, not my greatest. I kind of got wrapped up in what I was doing, and sometimes I let the camera drift or had bad angles, and I had a lot of quick movements. So I want to apologize now. I hope you guys endure through it because it's cool, the whole experience, what the staff members talking about. So my apologies, but I hope you enjoyed the rest of the video.
The Grand Portage is an 8.5 mile trail, and it's the easiest way to get from Lake Superior to the inland waterways. And those will take you with some portages all the way to the Pacific, the Arctic. So this was always an important route for the Native Americans.
Okay.
Because it does bypass all the falls and rapids on the Pigeon River. The
all right.
time period we talk about deals heavily with the fur trade. The Northwest Company builds a depot here and starts using it. When we get to the 1790s, 70% of the world's fur trade passes through here.
Wow.
Yeah. And beavers are the main pelt because they can be used to make beaver felt hats.
Okay.
So here we've got a museum. We do have a 20-minute film, and that starts at the half hour. Upstairs we have a moose display, and then if you continue following the sidewalk, about 500 feet away, you'll get to the Ojibwe village and the historic depot. You got people wearing costumes out there from the period, and they can talk about what you're seeing.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
And not part of our park, but if you want to see Pigeon Falls, the highest waterfall in Minnesota, that state park is another 6 miles up the road.
That is the plan for the next stop, is to head up there. All right, well, thank you for that info. I appreciate it. here. So gotta check that out. That was pretty cool. A lot of information in there. Kind of getting to see the overview of the Grand Portage, which was an 8-mile cut across to avoid all of the big falls on the Pigeon River as it gets closer to Lake Superior. So a lot of traveling came through here, and now I'm walking down to the depot, which is the original buildings that they used, and then they also have people in costumes kind of dressed up. So that'll be kind of cool. Really wish the girls were here. I think they'd have a lot of fun doing this, but I didn't really know what this was all about, so it's definitely easier for me to come here by myself, check it out, but it's definitely something I'm going to bring the girls back to with as well. All right, I am walking into the Ojibwe village. Some ideas of what it would look like. Got some leather drying out. Doing some planting. Few of their structures for housing. Wild rice. Hi, how are you doing?
Doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing well. What do we have going on in here?
Well, this is a birchbark lodge. We are hiding in case of rain.
All right. Fair enough.
Usually, us staff, we hang out in the little half-covered lodge that was further down that way, where you can actually, you know, see us
Oh, sure.
when you're coming in.
Yeah,
But this has more shelter.
there you go.
This is the kind of lodge that Ojibwe people were using at the time of the fur trade, which is the era that we focus on here at the park.
Okay.
And they're actually portable. All of these birch bark panels get rolled up, and you move them along with you
Wow.
based on where you're living in each season. So in the summer you'd be by the lake. Fall time is harvesting wild rice, which is in inland rivers and lakes.
Okay.
Wild rice doesn't really grow on Lake Superior. It's too big
Sure.
to movement of water. Winter time they go back into the woods where there's more shelter. The trees are a windbreak. It's warmer. And spring you are tapping for maple sap to boil down into maple sugar. So they move with the food source per the season. But you take your birch bark with you wherever you go. So you can only harvest it in like July.
Interesting.
But it makes up your house, it makes up your canoe, it makes up your baskets. Before they had European contact and could trade for big iron kettles like this, they would have massive birch bark containers that you're boiling your water in for food. You can't have it directly in the fire like you can metal.
Sure.
So they'd have it above the fire, close enough that the heat is there. and like drop in hot stones to increase the temperature.
Huh. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, multi-purpose.
There we go.
Very important structure.
Yes, it is. All
Are
right.
you recording for somebody?
I got a little YouTube channel that I'm starting, and then also for the family. So
Gotcha.
got wife and daughters back home who didn't come on this trip. So
Mm-hmm. And now you can show them.
yes, my first time being here. I wasn't really sure what to expect, but it's pretty neat. So
Glad
definitely
you
have to
enjoyed.
bring the family back next time.
For sure.
Yes. But all right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the
So welcome.
information.
Have a good day.
There we go. A little lesson on the birch house. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I think morning.
It's still morning. We can still call it that.
That's fine.
How are you doing today?
Better.
Better.
Welcome to the warehouse.
Well, thank you.
And this was an original warehouse.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, not this location and this type of building. None of the stuff is original
Okay.
here. So, because nothing, even the timber frame, you know, from the 1700s would that still be here?
Oh, those are impressive.
Familiar with canoeing at all?
Just a little bit. But I know some impressive craftsmanship when I see it.
Yes.
Yeah, those are pretty extraordinary. And these are out of the, so I just stopped at the birch house. These are all out of the birch as well?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep. These were done by a gentleman about 1970.
Okay.
He did both the Montreal canoe, which is the big one,
Okay.
and the Northerners
Okay.
Voyageurs canoe. The big one, 38 feet long. That's the pile
Okay.
of cargo, plus 8 to 10 paddlers.
Whoa.
Yep.
On the Pigeon River. Or
No.
not for this.
These guys came, you could look on the map here, but they came from Montreal
Okay.
down, what's that, the St. Lawrence? I should study that more. But anyway, the ships came from England and they could get as far as Montreal,
Okay.
okay, with the trade goods. Everything, the Northwest Company, that's what they traded, was the iron, textiles, all the stuff from Europe
Okay.
that the natives wanted. Portage much with these big
I would
canoes.
imagine you wouldn't want to do a lot of those.
No. And then out onto Huron, through here into Superior,
Wow.
hug the coast, and then end up at Grand Portage.
Wow, that's a long trip.
8 to 10 weeks, roughly, depending. Weather didn't stop them, wind did.
Okay.
That was the big thing.
Yeah.
And then the Northerners in that small canoe, 26 feet, roughly half the capacity of these big ones.
Okay.
And so they would come down. There were outposts and trading posts all throughout the interior of Canada
Okay.
and out as far as the coast.
Wow.
So they kept reaching as they, you know, as the fur trade progressed, they had to keep going further and further out.
Sure.
And then they pioneered the water route after this was abandoned. The guy, he pioneered to the Arctic and also to the Northwest. And believe it or not, here to here was about the same travel time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
As this was kind of in the middle.
Interesting.
Grand Portage. It doesn't look like
It
but
doesn't look like it would be.
No, I'd look at it and study and read, and that's
Yeah.
But that's what they did.
Wow.
So, and you can see on this one, all these dots,
Come over on the side.
all those dots, that's outlying trading posts.
Really?
So natives would harvest furs during the winter and then consolidate at these trading posts. The truck wouldn't start this morning, and so we had ordered
38-foot
up at the thing, so
canoe.
Ben was going to get his, so
This was their load,
he's gonna pick up ours.
and then 8 to 10 paddlers.
And I haven't heard from Mommy yet either, so she's
That's impressive.
gonna get both of them.
All right, done at the warehouse, over to the depot next. All right, so just left from the warehouse, came down the path, and now we are getting to the depot. We're gonna make our way inside, see what we find in there. And
Richie the Voyager is inside the hearth working on some,
hello.
arranging the coals for the hens, the game hens. They're on a lark spit. Richie will be able to tell you about the lark spit.
It is a historic piece of equipment. They would have used it for passenger pigeons, any small birds. There's
Okay.
3 hooks, and you can raise this arm up or down, or you can turn them however. See, now I've kind of messed it up a little bit. But yeah, that's the idea.
That's the idea.
Yeah,
I've just got some basil on there and a piece of bacon on top of there to keep the birds from drying out, the skin from drying out. Got
oh,
a pot of wild rice.
that's a good idea.
Got a pot of wild rice that's already cooked in there, and as soon as these are getting close to being done, 15 minutes away, I'm gonna start some carrots with maple sugar
Oh wow,
glaze.
that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's a lot of the historic Ojibwe food items that would have been used with the wild rice and carrots and the maple sugar. And everything from this kitchen in the 1790s would have been going next door to the Great Hall
Okay.
for the owners, shareholders of the Northwest Company.
Yeah.
And they would invite the clerks, some guides and interpreters to mess with them in there.
Okay.
They'd be seated separately according to class structure.
Gotcha.
And they might not all be eating the same delectable, extravagant dishes that would be coming out of the kitchen.
Sure.
But the Voyagers definitely would not have had anything from here.
Okay.
The actual, the truck drivers of the fur
The-
company.
the workers,
fur trade,
yes.
They would have been outside the palisade walls on this side.
Okay.
In 2 different camps. The Northmen with their canoes coming from the Northwest provinces
Okay.
with the
I
furs
just
coming in.
learned about them in the warehouse.
There you go. And then the Montrealers,
Yep.
they're the seasonal voyagers.
Okay.
And so each of those groups felt they were the true voyagers.
Ah.
The Northmen were like, obviously it's us because we're all year. We winter over at the trading
We
post.
figure it out. Yeah.
We come from all the way from the Pacific,
Sure.
you know, with these furs. So we're the real deal. And then you guys are just seasonal workers. You go home to your farms in Montreal. So they were separated. Of course, their encampments were separated by a 2-foot creek.
Okay.
And once they settled in after bringing their goods to Grand Portage, once they settled in and had their peas and grease and maybe some bread and rum,
Okay.
we imagine that they just all kind of settled together, sang songs, and enjoyed each other's company.
Sure.
It wasn't rowdy at all. There were no fights,
Gambling.
ungentlemanly behavior.
No, none of that stuff. No
They were
rivalries.
so notorious that they were not even allowed inside the stockade gates unless they had specific work to do.
Wow. Huh. That's interesting. So for people doing that, was there some type of pay involved, or was it just this was the work, and then they kept some of what they were able to transport or barter?
They were paid by the company
Okay.
And if you recall, like, what it was like for miners and the company store,
Yeah.
it was a lot of that
Okay.
involved.
He's been in debt the whole time. They were trying to pay off.
Pay off for what they've accumulated on the trips and whatnot.
So many of them came from those French Canadian farm families, young men, 16 years old, would be recruited by the Northwest Company, and they were promised regular meals. You'd get food every day, you'd get a place to sleep, shelter, and you'd get adventure. I think they really made good on the adventure.
Sold them on the adventure.
They had a quart of peas and grease each day as their rations. So peas for protein, and the bear grease or pig lard for calories and energy.
Yeah.
And maybe some pemmican.
Okay, what is that?
Okay, you want to see it?
Sure.
Okay. This is like the real deal.
Okay.
This is actual, it's real. It was made 20 years ago.
Whoa.
So you can hold it, check it out. I mean, it's still, you could, I wouldn't recommend it, and there's a band around it so it doesn't like disintegrate
Deteriorate,
or fall
okay.
apart. But they made pemmican here in this kitchen 20 years ago.
And what is it actually made out
Okay,
of?
so the Ojibwe people taught them that if, this is how the Ojibwe would do it. You'd get, let's say, an elk.
Okay.
So the first thing, they're skinning the elk, and the woman would prepare the hide and make a bag out of it.
Okay.
And then she'd take all of the meat and dry it. So if you think about jerky that you just
Sure.
absolutely love, imagine that dried beyond recognition.
Okay.
To where you could not possibly chew on it. Then that's taken and pounded with stones until it's just like fibers, protein fibers that are dried. Then all of the kidney fat, that suet from the elk that was taken, would be rendered down and then mixed inside the bag made out of the hide. You've got the liquid fat and you've got all that dried meat. It's mixed together.
Okay.
The Ojibwe would also add maple sugar that they made in the springtime, and lots of dried berries. They had different varieties of dried berries, June berries and thimbleberries, and
Okay.
all kinds of stuff. They'd add that. It would be absolutely delicious.
Sure.
And it would last in a cache underground for years.
Wow.
But usually it's for the winter when things get scarce.
Yeah.
So the Northwest Company, they skip the maple sugar and the berries, and it's just like whatever game it was, and that game's fat, and they would make it into slabs that are this size. This is an idea of exactly what it would look like. This would be like an 80-90 pound slab of that pemmican. All
Wow.
wrapped up and ready to go to the Northwest provinces where the trading posts were, and that's what those guys who wintered over would end up buying pemmican or trading for pemmican at the posts to help them through the winter. And 1 pound of that was equal in calories and nutrition to 5 pounds of fresh meat.
Huh,
So it was an incredible technology for preserving food
Yeah.
and for getting all the nutrition.
And being somewhat portable.
Super portable. So like you think about those, you think about the protein bars that you
Yeah.
take? Yeah, and that they say taste like blueberry and white macadamia. No, they don't.
No, they don't.
really don't. They really just taste like whatever that stuff is that they put in for the protein.
Yes.
And so this was considered to be delicious from the journals and diaries at the time of different traders.
Yeah.
They said that it was absolutely delicious.
All right. Well, there's the original.
That's
Protein bar.
the real deal, dude. That was the real thing.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. All right. Well, that was interesting. And now we are in the Great Hall, where the owners, shareholders, and all the important people would have their meals.
After Northwest
someday. The Great Hall. Fireplace on each side. Ew, making hats.
Oh, it's just open once a year in July and August.
Okay.
Somewhere in that, maybe 3 months, but usually 2 months. This building was made for the owners of the company, Northwest Company.
Okay.
They're dignitaries. They're
Alright.
upper clerks,
Okay.
clergy. You can see the difference between what the owners would sit at, right?
Yeah.
This is fine Queen's china
Yep.
and a nice cherry table.
Yeah.
Then you've got the clergy, a little bit under the Queen's china.
Yep.
And then you've got lower clerks, natives, and the interpreters.
Okay.
Would eat off pewter and wood.
Huh.
They were all welcomed here, but they definitely had a separation of class.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it would be 120, 130 people here.
Oh.
Yeah, because you're talking about different clerks that would come down here from the 140 trading posts up north. They would have orders from those posts for the natives of what goods they wanted to get back up there. So the owners would come here, they would go through all the shopping list, if you will, of the natives, separate all the furs that came from the natives, grade them, and then get them repackaged in those 2-3 months to get ready to go across the world, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it took them 12 to 15 weeks to get down here from up north.
Even the clerks and the clergy, it took them that
Just
long.
the higher clerks.
Okay.
No, clergy, no. Clergy wasn't up there. Clergy came with the owners.
Oh,
From
okay.
Montreal.
Okay.
The owners came from Montreal, the clergy came with them, and the higher clerks. The lower clerks that are up in the posts
Yep.
and interpreters and native people would come
Oh,
here.
okay.
But the kitchen just served this building.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those 3 months. Everybody else, the hundreds of people that were out, they all encamped outside the stockade here.
Okay.
But were welcomed in here. But when at night you close the gates, just like at Home Depot, they
Sure.
close the lumber yard up, and that's it.
Yep.
And this isn't a fort. It's just to keep honest people honest, because they'd
There
had
we go.
millions of dollars worth of goods here, trade goods and furs, millions of dollars worth here
Yeah.
once a year. So that's what this was. There's about 14 other buildings out in the stockade.
Okay.
There'd be a separate trading post. There'd be gosh, you name it, anything like coopers and blacksmiths and places out there for like the lower clergy to live. They think maybe it's not definite. They think maybe that some of the clergy lived upstairs here.
Okay.
But originally it's just 4 bedrooms.
Huh.
Yeah. But 4 bedrooms was a little dull,
Yeah.
a little boring, so they made 3 different interpretive centers instead of, they just left 1 bedroom.
Oh, okay. There we go. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Shows a little bit more.
So their heyday was in the 1790s, is what we're looking at here.
Okay.
The fashion of the top hat came into play.
Yeah.
And anybody with stature or money had a top hat. And they
All
were
right.
very expensive. So when they came here, the natives asked them, what kind of furs you want? We got all these beautiful furs. And they'll go, I want that one on the floor there you're using as a rug, which is the beaver.
Really?
They didn't
Huh.
understand that, but they said, you want the beaver out of all these? I'll show you the first.
Okay.
Out of all these luxurious furs,
Oh, wow.
you want the beaver. Yep, that's the one we want. The one you're standing on, wiping your feet on. That's the one we want. They traded all over the world, but they even got Arctic foxes and lynx. And this lynx, I think, is the most. You can take these down if you want. It's the
Wow.
softest fur I've ever felt. That's a lynx. But the beaver was their moneymaker. And they didn't use any of this. They threw all this away. All this got thrown away.
Really?
It was the underneath that was felted. The very, very first layer of fur.
Okay.
They'd scrape all this off and get down to the under first layer. And that's the stuff that could be felted. And that's what they made the hats out of.
Ah,
Felted. Yeah.
okay.
I know, it seems like a waste, but they did tan some of these. You could use this as lining of a coat. Very
Okay.
warm,
Sure.
waterproof, very nice.
Yeah.
But not luxurious like a top hat.
Sure.
All the other furs you could use as luxury items and coats and stuff, but they even use skunk. So you would trim a skunk. They wouldn't want to wear a skunk,
Okay.
but you trim it in trims, and you can put it around your cuffs or around your collar. It makes a very nice pattern, if you will, when you do stripes.
Sure. A little bit of variation in there.
Yeah. But that was it. They got bison they traded. They got caribou. You name it, the natives got for them. And they didn't trap. They hunted. And they did all their hunting during the winter.
Okay.
That's when the furs were the thickest.
Oh,
Now,
that makes sense.
To get the beaver, they would chop a hole in the ice, drop a net in, scare the beaver out of the lodge. He'd get caught in the net, and that's how they harvest the beaver.
Oh, okay.
Everything else was hunted.
Yeah.
Trapping didn't come in much later. The XY company used trapping out in the west, and the mountain men and stuff.
Okay.
They're separate, but they kind of peeled off of Northwest after Northwest left.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of shows, and this is all hands-on too. This shows you the different prices, like if they wanted a rifle, depending on the caliber of rifle,
Yeah.
10 to 20 beaver pelts would get
Okay.
you a brand new rifle.
Huh.
And that was amazing because they could much easier hunt bear and moose, much easier than a bow and arrow.
Yeah, being able to have that.
Vermilion, that comes from a rock from China, and that's ground up, and they used to use that to paint their face or to dye textiles or to put designs on their canoes. They really liked that. Tobacco, this is English tobacco, but they didn't want that.
Okay.
They wanted Brazilian tobacco.
Oh, yeah.
That came in lengths of 6 foot. They'd cut off a 6 foot piece and trade that with them because they liked the Brazilian tobacco.
All right.
Pretty much anything the natives wanted, they would try their hardest to get
Yeah.
for them because they were the money makers, really.
Kind of keep them happy and
Yeah.
keep them going.
Nothing they needed. They were flourishing. Northwest comes in, British company still, but they hire the Scots to manage it. And they tell the natives, you don't have to bring the furs to us. We're going to put posts out there where you live. You bring the furs to the posts, and we'll bring the trade goods to those posts, and you can do your business up there. We'll bring the furs back down. You don't have to leave where you are. We'll take care of all that, and pretty much anything you want, we'll try to get for you.
Wow.
They also was allowed to marry within the tribes, so that made that connection even closer.
Sure.
Hudson Bay didn't encourage that. They did not encourage marriage within the tribes, and a bad trade good was the alcohol. That really was making a problem for the voyagers,
Yeah.
alcoholism, and the natives.
Okay.
So they ended up knowing pretty much what bands of natives could handle what, but coming here was 180 proof. So
Man.
they used to cut it to 50 to 60% and trade that with the natives because they could see that it was really affecting the natives and the livelihood of the natives and the voyagers, because the voyagers would end up going broke during the year
Sure.
and owe money to the company.
Yeah.
But that also encouraged them, they had to come back the next year to keep working.
It's almost a little bit of a guaranteed labor coming back.
Exactly, yeah. They sold their soul to the company store, if you will.
That's right.
You know?
So what's for historically speaking and what we learned about now, obviously we hear a lot about the Hudson Bay
Yes.
Trading Company. Why is that so much more of a mainstream than because this is considered the Northwest Trading?
Yeah, Northwest Trading Company.
Okay.
Fur trade.
Why do you think that is? Being that this was a much bigger operation, why are we more familiar with the Hudson Bay?
Well, that was the first one. I'll show you out on the map here.
Okay.
But again, the relationship that Northwest Company had with the natives made them millions and millions of dollars. So the Hudson Bay Company, early or mid 1600s.
Okay.
Natives, and they've been trading for hundreds of years, right? The natives
Yeah.
have been going all over the place for 1,000 years, right?
Yeah.
When Alexander Mackenzie came into play, he was an explorer and he mapped out this as Mackenzie's Track. And he found a way to get to the Pacific, to the Atlantic, to the Arctic, and to the Gulf. And you could do that in 8 weeks from right here, any place. Not carrying all those goods,
Sure.
but you can get to those places. So the relationship, the areas that Northwest Company could go
Yeah.
and trade, they surpassed the Hudson Bay Company by 4
Okay.
times. In 2025, they just closed the doors this year, last month, Hudson Bay.
Oh, really?
Yep, that's all the run.
That it is. Wow.
Yeah, Hudson Bay Fur Trade Company just closed the doors, 2025.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah,
Huh.
pretty incredible.
That is incredible.
No, this, so that 8.5 mile run right here, that's the Grand Portage.
That was
Now-
kind of the backbone of a lot of this.
Yes, yeah, because they had to get away from the rapids and the waterfalls from the Pigeon River,
Right.
right, to get up here.
Yep.
So that's the first leg. Now they would leave their canoes over here someplace, maybe Rainy Lake, I don't know, I'm not sure. But everything from here would be transported by foot and hand, the 8.5 miles to get down to Lake Superior.
Wow.
And then from Lake Superior, they would take the big canoes
Yeah.
and go back up to Montreal.
Okay.
So there's 30 from Montreal to here. There's 36 different portages where they had to empty the canoe out.
Those are the big ones.
big ones.
Those 38 footers.
Yep. Empty the canoe out, carry everything to the next spot. Those 38. There's about 1,500 miles to here. I know. That's a lot of work.
That is
isn't
a
it?
lot of work.
And hundreds of portages up in here. Hundreds
Yeah.
of portages.
That's a lot of information. But what a cool place. I honestly had no idea what to expect coming here, and this has been really neat. Definitely gonna have to bring the family back here. I don't know if they'll last as long as I can gathering all the information, but it's pretty cool and I definitely need to check it out. Now my last stop is going down to the big dock and checking out this big canoe. Oh yeah, look at that fog rolling in. That is cool. Hundreds of years of history up here. $1,500 miles in 8 weeks to come for the big meeting here in July and August. Well, this was an awesome stop. I am so happy that I stopped and checked this place out. There's probably enough video just to make its own little episode, so I might just do that. But come up here. Come and check it out. If you want to learn the history of the fur trading, the Northwest Company, the Hudson Bay Company, how they ended up becoming one company, although at the time they were both owned by Britain, but the Scots were managing, the people from Scotland were managing the Northwest Company, and they developed the relationships with the natives that made this, at the time, 4 times the size of the Hudson Bay Company. So it's just a testament to having relationships that are mutual respect for both sides, what that can accomplish, as opposed to the Hudson Bay Company, where at the time they put all of the effort on the natives to get everything where it needed to go and what they needed to do. And the Northwest Company was like, no, we're gonna work with you. We're gonna get you whatever you want. We're gonna do our best. And in turn, the natives from Ojibwe, they worked well with the Northwest Company. So that's pretty cool. But man, there's a lot of history up here, and there's a lot to do. There's lots of hikes. You can even hike the original Grand Portage, the 8-mile trek. I don't have time to do that today, but I'd love to come back and do some of that. So for sure, if you were ever up in northern Minnesota, come on over here. It is neat. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video of the Grand Portage National Monument as much as I enjoyed filming it. I had a blast getting to check it all out. I kind of had the place to myself most of the day because I got there right after it started raining, so I was able to spend a lot of time with the staff, and there was still more information that didn't make it into this video. So there's a lot of information up there. And the other thing I wanted to share is they also have a canoe making experience, which that started at 1, and that was when I needed to leave. That was kind of my deadline, because if you go watch the rest of my road trip up North Shore of Superior, there's the links. You'll see that I was on a little bit of a time crunch, especially this day. So I wasn't able to experience everything that Grand Portage Monument had to offer, but it is an absolute must stop. If you're ever in northern Minnesota, if you ever get up to Grand Marais, make some time. Give yourself at least 2 hours to go up there, or even if 1 hour. Give yourself a couple of hours to go up there, and you can really make the most of it. And if you want to do some hiking, there's lots of hikes around, and like I mentioned in the video, you can hike the actual portage path, which I would love to do that. But there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and like I said, I'm going to leave the links to my road trip. They'll also be here on the end screen, so check those out. Let me know, have you guys ever been to the Grand Portage National Monument? Is this a place that's now on your list of places that you want to go, or has it already been on your list? It was kind of, it was definitely under the radar for me, but now that I've been there, I think it's a really neat spot, and I'm going to recommend it to everybody. So there it is. There's my Grand Portage day trip, and we will see you guys on the next adventure. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and leave a comment about your favorite part. And then if you want to see more videos, make sure to check out our channel for other camping videos, family adventure videos, and how we built our own off-grid cargo trailer camper. Make sure to subscribe and then hit that bell icon so you'll be notified when we post new videos. We share every Saturday morning and every other Thursday afternoon. And keep an eye out for the random short videos that might get posted. Thanks for watching, and please share the channel if you know someone else who might enjoy this as well. See you on the next adventure.